You're listening to the Business and Life Podcast, where 7 days a week, proven entrepreneurs share their success stories, failures, and give you true value on how you can build a great business and an awesome life. With your host, Mike Olivas.
Tamar, welcome to the show again. I'm honored to have you.
Thanks so much.
So I'd love to hear and have our listeners hear a little bit about what compelled you to start what you do.
So the reason why I started working with women and money is because I really wanted to make a difference in the world and have, but in a more specific way. I mean, we're all searching for meaning, right? And we all want to have our life have purpose. And I really got to a point where I had kind of checked all the boxes. I had a great husband, beautiful kids, and was financially very secure, and really felt like that I could be making more of a contribution. And so to me, one of the places that I found with women and money has to do with the way that my childhood was, not growing up with money and realizing that it doesn't have to be that way. Money is such a huge struggle. It's a huge weight that we carry, all of us, men and women.
That's very awesome. So what specifically do you feel how you're able to help women in wealth?
Well, what I do is I work with them on their overall picture of money. So some of my clients are transitioning from one career to another, and they need to be able to expand the finances and figure out where the funnels are to create the wealth. And also one of the vehicles that I believe in so strongly is real estate investing, where I've made a lot of my money, and in addition to running businesses, but definitely real estate investing has been very good to me. And a lot of the clients that I'm working with now are have successful businesses and are looking to figure out how they can have real estate investing work for them while they're building their businesses. Because we have 3 ways to grow wealth: very successful business, we have stocks, and we have real estate. So if you're working more than one funnel, then it's really going to work effectively. It's also, you have to be making quite a bit of money in your business in order really to be able to grow true wealth like you can in real estate.
I think it's very interesting. Do you find that there's sometimes, like, some of your clients might be entrepreneurs who are kind of having a hard time, for your terms, funneling their time, right? Like, how do I put time into my business to get that to turn that into let's say a just revenue generating engine, right? And then you also have the real estate. I mean, are you able to help some of your clients just kind of differentiate where to put their time so they can focus on creating true revenues within those different avenues?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good point. I mean, time's a big struggle for all of us because we all have so many things going on, and we're always, you talk to any productivity coach and they'll say, what's the thing that's going to move you forward today? What's the one thing? And, you're just taking things away. And it really is, it's amazing. That is, it seems obvious, but when somebody actually confronts you with it, it does help a lot. And so, that definitely is, part of what I'm working with. Sure. With my clients on. The piece as far as the real estate investing goes is that a lot of people don't want to get involved in it because of time. I mean, there's certainly like the fear of money, the fear of not understanding, the fear of losing money, the fear of not understanding how it works. But time is a huge issue, which is that, I don't have time to go look for properties. I don't have time to make sure that if the toilet goes out, what am I supposed to do? So the thing that's so great about it is that and one of the things that I teach is how you can find partners where you can be involved in different types of real estate where it doesn't take as much time, but you can still be making it very lucrative. So yes, managing time's always there for us, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been reading recently, like, I don't know, even remember where I read it, but somebody said maybe it was in The Power of Now. I was rereading that, and he was saying, that make time not exist, that it's not really real. So it was kind of interesting what happens. just kind of function and aren't like looking at, because I mean, I find that I'm more and more timed. I mean, I literally, I'm so like, you know, if I have to write something, I set the clock for an hour. You know, everything's like extremely focused on the task, which I find is very effective.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think that's a great point in terms of these. And I bring up time because I think sometimes it's a limiting. It's funny. Sometimes it's a limiting belief on a lot of people's world, right? That I can't do this because of this. And I'm sure that your clients and people listening, if they'd like to be able to discuss more with you, is understanding that sometimes breaking this down from a kind of reverse engineering standpoint of where people want to be and why, and those kind of questions, I'm sure come into play with your clients. But yeah, breaking down time is all. That's our biggest asset, if you will, being able to find out how to do more with less, I guess, time. So tell me some of the hurdles that you felt you've been able to come through in your entrepreneurial journey. Is there anything that you feel our listeners would like to learn more or understand more about you and how you've overcome some of these struggles from just a business perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that, you know, anyone that has, with every hurdle that we climb and every success point that we reach, right, we're always looking back going, God, if I only would have known this, if I only would have known that. Yeah. I mean, for me, definitely, I think that a lot of years were not as joyous as they could have been. Definitely when I was a kid, when I was poor, and I didn't really understand, you know, how I could access the things that I wanted, because I felt so less than because I didn't have money. And that wasn't the reason that I really wanted money. Ultimately, I wanted money because I knew that it could buy me more choices, and I wanted freedom. And so that for me is always the theme of everything that I do is about, you know, how I can have more freedom and how I can have freedom for others. The thing that I wish is that I would have trusted more, you know, just kind of being in the universe, maybe trusting God, source, something, so that I didn't feel so alone. And also just not being so attached to the outcome of what I thought things should look like, because, you know, really life is more of a journey than it is getting to that destination. Yeah. And then as soon as I would get very attached to like, oh, you know, I didn't achieve this goal, so I'm a failure, or, you know, someone didn't call me back, or, you know, didn't want to hire me, so I'm a loser or whatever. Yeah. To just be able to walk through that and just be like, no, that's the opportunity. That's the process, you know, like 10 no's lead to that big yes.
Yes. That's awesome. That's great. That's exactly right. I mean, it's not even a sales process. It's more of just a process. And I think once people start understanding, having faith in baby steps, right, that you definitely get there. What do you think some of the biggest reasons that people within your realm of, let's say, clientele and your industry, why do you think the biggest reasons are that they give up? Why do they give up?
Well, you know, I like to look at it like, I know what you're saying. Like, you know, we hear statistics about entrepreneurs not reaching their goals. I like to say that they pivoted, and you know, they found another place to go. You know, sometimes I think that people start businesses with this vision in mind of what it's going to look like and how it's going to work. It generally ends up costing a lot more. It generally ends up being a lot harder, or let's say more challenging than anyone anticipated, and it often takes a lot longer than people anticipate. So, you know, where they have their measures of goals, they're not hitting them at the same point. And I think that, you know, it comes down to the conviction of what you're creating and whether or not you really feel like you really believe in that project and that mission so much that you stick with it. Because most people, I mean, Steve Jobs wasn't sitting around. People weren't banging down his door to like buy an Apple computer when he started. Right. So, I mean, nobody gets anywhere without being the one to kind of stand in the fire, without, you know, waiting for other people to join them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think Steve Jobs said that. He said, if you're not excited and passionate about something, then it's just a matter of time for the fire to kind of burn out, right? But I think you have some awesome topics and what you teach people it's easy to get excited about financial freedom, right? It's easy to do that. But I think the baby steps and how to kind of do that is something you're obviously able to teach some of your clients. So tell me a little bit about, and I'd like to ask this question about something that you feel is true, and you know it's true, but almost nobody agrees with you on.
It's funny because that's a challenging question.
Yeah.
I really struggle with that because
Okay.
I don't know that there's anything that I don't feel that alone on any of my thoughts. Like I always feel like there's a partner with it.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to think that like anything that I know is true. I mean, maybe it could be in terms of the fact that you really can have as much money as you want.
Right.
And I think that is, even though it sounds like, I think that that's true for sure. And I do think that there's a lot of resistance around that because I think people feel so many blocks around it. And and then it comes into a whole conversation about, how people are looking at money and how people see money, which was another thing that I think that, that also held me back a lot from different levels and different, and a whole new opening of freedom, which is that, money for a lot of people is this kind of, this, weight that is carried on them. Right. And it's, and it definitely doesn't feel free if you feel like you have to stay in a job or you have to do something. And I think a lot of people feel that way. There might even be people listening going, oh yeah, sure. It's easy for her to say, but I would say, no, you can pivot and you can create whatever you want to create. And freeing yourself from money is a key to that.
I think Life Nation, we're all striving towards different goals. Maybe your goal is to finally quit the 8 to 5 grind, quit your job, or take the next step with your existing business. Whatever the goal may be, regardless of your reasons, if you are serious about taking the next step and finally trying to build the life that you deserve, the life that you want to live, take the leap of faith. Go to michaellevis.com and let's discuss your goals and life. It's 100% free. There's no obligation. It's MIKEOLIVAS.com. Schedule a quick call. I'd love to help. I think you absolutely answered it, right? What is true? You can have as much money as you'd like. How to get there is maybe change your relationship about money, right? Understand what money is to you. And I'm sure you help a lot of your clients being able to understand what is money? What does it create? Is it a thing? Is it an actual, is it a tool? But it can be different things to different people. And I think that's a very great answer as far as you can have as much money as you'd like. Let me show you how. Like in breaking that down for people. I think that's awesome.
Right. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why I focus most of my time on real estate investing, because for me, real estate investing is a really fun puzzle. And unlike the stock market where, there's some other entity that's controlling whether it goes up or down, and while there still is risk with real estate investing, for the most part, you're controlling the variables, and there are certain variables that you can count on that can almost guarantee that you are going to be making money on your money.
That's awesome.
And that's pretty amazing to me. That's pretty easy. And that's not even a lot of times you having to even do anything. That could be you running your business and you being involved in as an investor in a project that you're not even managing, and just walking to the mailbox and getting checks, which is a pretty great feeling.
Absolutely. Listen to that, listeners. I think tomorrow I can be able to help you not pick up a hammer, but still be able to get checks. I think that's important. And it really is, because I think a lot of times people look at all the minutia before the top of, all the bushes before the top of the mountain, but there's definitely some strategy to that. That's awesome that you're able to teach your clients to be able to understand, here's how you invest. And I think you said something I call it a sound bomb. It's controlling the market. You can't control things. On an average of 7% return is what investors are going to give you on something, right? But when you look at real estate, I'm sure there's, what is an average ROI that you feel is really possible in the real estate world? I know it's a crazy question, but is there an average that you're able to see in just like even within your own world of real estate investing?
Well, I mean, I think that, anywhere from like 7% to like 18% is pretty average. Yep. It's pretty a decent range. I mean, it can be more and it can be a little less. Maybe it might be 4%. But generally, it's not zero. And generally, if it's at 4, it's because it's very conservative, or maybe there was a year where there were things that there was a lot of deferred maintenance on a property that needed to be taken care of. And you also have, you have your cash flow going for you, and you generally have, and I say generally because with appreciation, as investors, really try not to like lean too much on appreciation. Because that's more of a variable, but cash flow is kind of like, if I have a renter there and they're paying me $1,500 a month and I know how much I paid, then it's kind of like it's a pretty, it's a pretty sure bet. Right. But certainly, I mean, it's, you can still, it's funny because people say a lot of investors believe, don't look too much at appreciation as a variable. It's funny because early on, I did a lot of, some of my strategies did have a little bit to do with an appreciation play, and it actually worked out really well for me. But, it also depends on, where you are in your location, and there's a lot of other variables that you can look at for that as well. Like if there's a lot of industry coming in, if there's a lot of,
Sure.
You're in a great location, and I own several properties in Los Angeles and Silver Lake, and that that area is really blown up. It's a very desirable place to live, and it has been for quite some time. Fortunately, I didn't buy this year. I bought several years ago, so it worked in my favor.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, timing the market, possible. No, but knowing the market is possible, right? Understanding it and having knowledge of it, I think. And when you mentioned that, I'm a big ROI/business, and I love kind of digging into some of the numbers, and not that we'll go into too depth here, but what I think about when I think about real estate stuff, maybe you can't, real estate investing is, and I look at the business side of growing the companies that I have, it's all the time, the effort, the processes, and the employees, the management that goes into a business. And you have a very similar ROI, right, Tamar? Like that you have a similar ROI with a lot more of a headache, by the way, a lot more of a headache. The marketing, the advertising, the processes, the healthcare. I mean, it breaks it down. But then you look at the cost. You have a cost of living and a quality of life that I think comes into it. And I think some of the listeners, if you're trying to understand where do I put this money or where do I put my time and effort, try to do your best. If you're listening, that understanding tomorrow's words are, and if I can construe them a little bit, it's going to be doing things that are as simple as possible in these numbers in real estate, and knowing what you bought it for, knowing what a mortgage is, knowing what's coming in above that, right? It doesn't have to be science, does it? Or do you have a pretty good model that you feel that has worked for, I'm sure, your clients, that you're able to break that down a little bit easier for everybody to understand? Because I think some people get scared of the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think that the thing is that with definitely, I definitely think, one of the simplest strategies is a buy and hold strategy. Yeah. And with that, which is one that I implement now, I'm obviously involved in a lot of other things, but I love a buy and hold strategy. And I think a buy and hold strategy simply means that, you buy it, you rent it, and you hang on to it. You don't sell it. And, and it just kind of does its thing. I think that, it depends though, because it's not like there's one formula, because everyone's in a different place. There's people that have less money. They don't have as much to put down. So they might have to, be spending more time kind of fishing for good deals and making relationships with real estate agents so that they can, find who's going to give them the deal. There's a lot of different ways to do, ways to invest and ways to make money at it.
Okay, awesome. I think that's a good point and a takeaway, listeners, in terms of what it is that you can do to make more money and how to do so. I think you have some really good ideas here. Tamar, tell a little bit about maybe something that you feel, some parting words of advice, or maybe one thing that you feel you can share with our listeners about your experiences, your story, and the successes that you've had. What kind of advice would you give to some up-and-coming entrepreneurs out there?
I would say, I think we've really touched on some really, really important keys to building a business, which is, one, focus on exactly what your mission is, and two, don't get attached so much to the result. Be kind to yourself on the journey, that there's not like, if one person says no, it doesn't mean another person's not going to say yes if you really believe in what you're doing. And and to just open yourself up to the idea that, that it can work for you. One of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot with entrepreneurs, and I definitely struggled with this too. Sometimes it's not on purpose. It's just that it's hard to find your messages and your marketing. And as you know, as an entrepreneur, but I think that what happens a lot of times is people aren't clear on what the result is that they're offering. The offer's not clear and the result's not clear. Like sometimes people say to me, well, I'm some of them are easy. Like I'm a massage therapist. So obviously I'm going to massage you and you're going to feel better. Right. But some of the more, in the coaching realm, it gets a little bit more kind of like, I'm a life coach, so I'm going to make your life better. Well, how do you do that and what's the result? And I think all of those things, I think people get frustrated maybe that their business isn't scaling the way they want, but part of it has to do with the fact that there isn't really a clean message in terms of like what you or I are going to take away and why we would see the value to want to be like, yeah, I want to invest in that. So that I think is, I think that's part of like really, and the thing is that when you're trying those things out, make sure that you're out there trying them out. Don't think about them in action, right?
Do them, right.
Right. Like actually try them. Like let someone say no to you a couple times, I'm proud of myself. Like as many people as, don't respond to me or, don't want to talk to me. Then there's, that many people that do. So I can't even keep track anymore. It's just like, that's part of being, and that's at whatever level, that's part of being an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. And you can't be everything to everybody. I think you've carved out an awesome niche and I definitely appreciate your time. Tell me a little bit about where people can find you.
So they can certainly go to my website at tamarhermesinternational.com. They can, and there's a free gift there for how to make and keep more money in 5 days. I don't have anything on my on the real estate investing. I'm just about to switch that on there, but certainly they can go on there. There's links where you can, everywhere on the website. Any good website should have a lot of links to connect with you. So you can certainly make an appointment with me. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tamar Hermes International as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so we'll stop there as far as recording, but that was great. Thank you so much. There were some good value bombs there. I think we got the real estate stuff. Sounds like you're just jumping into that as of how long have you started that, by the way?
Well, I've been an investor for 20 years, and it just occurred to me that I was like, wait, I'm making, I make so much money on this, and I understand it so well. And it's, clearly, even I was having dinner with a friend, and he was saying he had a house in Los Feliz, and he said, I've made more money, and he's a director of photography, so he's made some money. He's like, I've made more money selling my one house than I have in my whole career. Like,
wild? Yeah,
it's like millions of dollars. So the thing is that I just realized that it was just a really, like, my whole mission was to, how can I help women? And I think this is a great, great way. And so, it's been great. It's really fun, and I'm enjoying it.
Have you heard of let me see, Camille Finan?
No.
So she's very kind of women movement too. It's Finan, Camille. And I just had an interview with her prior as well. And you might want to try to connect with her, and Christine can connect you as well. I'm happy to after. But she is all women driven, and she helps women. She's built a multi-million-dollar company over the past 30 plus years around women and construction, right? So she has videos on like women can also do construction. She, believe it or not, she flipped the model upside down and is telling people like, hey, you know what? You're small and tiny. You can actually crawl into different places that guys can't. And she's totally right. You know what? You don't need to be strong to hold a hammer and a drill. And so she's really built up this really cool thing, but I bet her clients are very similar to their successful construction people. They might have a good angle to, hey, maybe I can start, in the construction world, I can start real estate investing. But could be a good connection.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, that sounds great. I'd love to connect with her. I love that.
Yeah, pretty cool.
It's awesome.
I know you have to go, so I don't want to, I know you have 2 minutes until your next call. That's why I was being conscious of that, by the way.
Thank
I'll
you.
do the intro, the outro. I'll let you know when we're going to launch this thing. You'll get an email from me. And if you have any questions, you can respond to me via email.
Great. And then where is your, where can I find your business coach mostly?
I do business coaching. We're just starting the podcast. We're probably going to get a certain amount of podcasts before we launch. Christine's helping me out with that. But yeah, I just moved to Puerto Rico. John Lee Doom is a big podcast coach out here. So I'm running the company's remote. And so I just moved here for tax purposes. You probably heard of the 4% flat tax rate out here.
Yeah, my eyes like this because it's funny that you moved to Puerto Rico because I actually talked to my husband about it.
Yeah.
And I have a kid that's going to high school next year. I was like, let's move to Puerto Rico because I love saving money on taxes. Like, love it. Oh, and it's crazy, right?
Capital gains, 0. Can you believe that? And I just bought a condo here. I might want to, but if you have any questions about it, by the way, let me know. I'm happy to talk to you about it.
How's the real estate's great out there too, right?
It really is. And it's opportunity zones, literally what they call it, opportunity zones from the government. So since Maria, they want you to buy real estate here and they will give it away for a good amount of price. The guy that I bought from here is buying buildings, but he's a big wig out here and from North Carolina. But yeah, I just bought a condo. They're probably, it's 1,800, it's probably 250, 300. It's going up a square foot, but 200 plus ish. And it's a lot of the 4,000 plus Act 2022ers like us that are coming out and buying this stuff, to be honest with you, of course. But I'm definitely probably going to I've just got the condo. Now I'm going to remodel it, make it look pretty. I'll probably do the same thing. I'll probably just rent it out and then go get something else, do the same thing. And I'm sure that's kind of a process, right, that people do in the real estate world.
It's a great strategy. I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, thank you. I know you have to, I know you had that call. I don't want you to be late to it, but thank you so much. And I'll shoot you over some info.
Okay, great. Talk to you later.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Life Nation, you got to remember that in order for things to change, you must change. And in order for things to get better, you must get better. You just got better by hanging out with me, Michael Liebus, and the Business and Life Nation. So come back tomorrow because I'm here dropping sound bombs 7 days a week, baby. If you'd like to subscribe, please do, so you can take action and execute. See you tomorrow.